I'm Erin, the other half of the bee's knees. I was going to start and share my experience with the bee kill a little bit. After Jenny just talked to Mark and the bee squad, Catherine called the bee squad, they called us and we went out together, Jody and Becky from the bee squad and I, to sample these hives. And this isn't something I knew how to do. It's really lucky that we live in a place with one of the top bee research centers in the country. It was hot, these colonies were big. These are like, the bees have been working all summer gathering honey, and there's a lot of honey and a lot of bees. And if you're working those bees at that time, they might want to sting you. They want to protect themselves, right? And the colonies that we were looking at, they weren't stinging. And they were writhing on the ground, flying in circles, dying. And so we were putting them on dry ice. We discovered what it was. And all of that is something that we now know, that cosmetic pesticide applications kill bees. And it's something that's kind of new, that's kind of unique, and it wouldn't have happened without this community of folks here. So let's mobilize around it. Minneapolis and the Twin Cities were not unfamiliar with mobilizing around food. We have one of the largest urban food movements in the country, one of the top bee research centers in the country. There's so many city council members and park board commissioners here today. Last week, over 60 people met in this room on Mayor Hodges' first week in office because our ability to grow food, bring economic development, have a more just, equitable food system, and do all the things that urban agriculture does, it's important to this town. And all of this work, all of it needs an ecosystem. And healthy pollinators, they're one of the building blocks of that ecosystem and of that work. We live in this city. Cam mentioned how lucky it is that Bee's Knees is in Minneapolis. This is our town. We love it here. We chose to be here. We all have this community and now this information, and we can work to save bees. We can work to maintain our ecosystems and work to maintain our access to fruits and vegetables and nuts and coffee and all the things that bees pollinate. This work is work that we can all do. The things we need to stop killing our pollinators, they're concrete individual actions, and we've identified 4 of them. So you planting flowers and eliminating pesticide use on your lawn, that's a solution. We have lawn signs for you and a pollinator pledge for you. Charlie's back there. You asking questions? Sorry. Of your nurseries and hardware stores is the solutions. Nurseries often treat their plants with neonics, even the bee forage. So we have a table up here about bee-friendly plants and asking your nurseries questions. Elaine is here, some other folks, Metro Blooms. Pollinator Revival is working with hardware store owners to remove neonics from the shelves, and Julia's back here. And then there's also bigger policy and systems change actions that we need, starting with you going to your caucus and presenting this Healthy Bees, Healthy Lives resolution. And Russ Henry's going to come up and talk to you a little bit about that.
So how many folks here in this room keep bees in Minneapolis? All right, that's excellent. Excellent. So all of you know that as beekeepers, in order to do it legally, you've got to get 100% of your nearest neighbors and 80% of your neighbors within 100 feet to sign a permission slip so that you can get a permit to keep bees. Now, why is it, that makes me wonder, that none of us need permission from our neighbors to spray poisons that will kill bees?
Right.
Why is it that it's easier to kill bees in our town than it is to keep them? That's not right. We all know bees are vulnerable. They are among the most vulnerable creatures in our environment. And our laws should protect the vulnerable. I'm going to now read to you from an example of our laws that unfortunately is not protecting the most vulnerable among us. Please bear with me, this will be short. I know legalese is no fun. But they really use not very many lines to take away all of our rights as a community to organize for ourselves. So this law is Minnesota State Statute 18B.02. It's a law named for what it actually does. It's called the preemption of local laws. The provisions of this chapter preempt ordinances by local governments that would prohibit or regulate any matter relating to the registration, labeling, distribution, sale, handling, use, application, or disposal of pesticides. Boo! In Minneapolis, we can do nothing about pesticides, they're saying at the state.
What's that number?
18.02B. 18B.02. So, this law says that no matter what, we have no power as a community to come together and change our own rules. That's not very democratic, now is it?
No.
Tonight, we're launching a campaign to take back some of the power, this power to the local level. We're asking you to help change this law. To allow cities to have more authority over the non-agricultural uses of pesticides. Now, our city, we can regulate everything from restaurants and grocery stores to taxis and tattoo parlors. We should be able to have some say over the pesticides that are killing the bees in our city.
Yeah.
Additionally, we want an open and publicly accessible, I think Marla touched on this, publicly accessible website where the companies that are licensed pesticide applicators can go and register when and where they've used those pesticides so that we as a community can begin to gather real data around this poison problem in our city. So quite simply, tonight we're asking you to sign a pledge to take a resolution forward to your precinct caucuses on February 4th. We've got the resolution all prepared. Erin and I will be standing over here by this table, and some of you might have it. We handed it around. We'll be glad to explain more about it. But the basic premise is, and I mean, look around us, we can do this. We need 100 people. And we got more than that here, right? We need 100 people to visit 100 precinct caucuses and take this resolution, ask your fellow citizens to vote with you on this. And I've done this kind of thing before. Anybody ever carried a resolution at a caucus? It's not that hard, but it's a huge difference you can make. You can make a difference to help save the bees in our city. You can also make a difference by calling your park board members, your city council members, your state legislators, and telling them to do anything and everything they can to slow the use of pesticides in our city. What do you think? Should we do this?
Yeah!
All right! All right! Be sure and hit the sound table over there. I'd like to actually say a very special thanks to Erin and Christy of Bee's Knees.
Yeah!
These two are amazing, and we're all here because of the good work they're doing.
I just want to say this is the first of, well, two events. One is in the planning stages right now, and I can't give you too much information, but I will say that it's going to be called the Dandelion Pastry Chef Challenge.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a bunch of wonderful ladies who make desserts all over town at really great restaurants getting together and competing with beekeepers as the judges to make desserts with dandelion honey. Dandelions are the first, one of the first things that bees go for in the springtime, and so we thought how appropriate but to have dandelion honey desserts. More information will be released on our website, healthybeeshealthylives.com. And now we are going to split into our 4 action step tables. We have one, you can sign the Pollinator Pledge that says you will have a chemical-free lawn. And we have 4 lawn signs, and the designs are back there that you can choose from. We ask for a minimum of $10 for each lawn sign, and then you can donate more if you want, but then we will get those lawn signs to you right in time for you to put them in your gardens in the springtime. The other thing is talking to Julia and Elaine Evans back in the corner. Julia, raise your hand. They have more information on how you can approach your local, sorry?
I'm here.
Oh! Well, Elaine's over here, but she'll be over there, hopefully.
No, I'm here with
No,
the
she's
staff.
staying over here. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, Julie can talk to you about Pollinator Revival, which they're making an amazing effort to get these chemicals out of hardware stores in your local nurseries. Elaine will be talking about planting bee-friendly plants over here. And then Russ and Erin will be talking to you about giving you a resolution to take to your caucus and more on the political side of things. I'm so unbelievable. I don't have word. I'm so happy how many people showed up tonight, and I really think we can make change. I'm hopeful. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to mention one thing from the park board standpoint. Last fall, there was a survey done about emerald ash borer and injection. And the survey was commissioned by the company that makes the chemical to inject the ash trees with. It's a neonicotinoid. And what they're trying to get you to do is pressure the park board to inject 40,000 emerald ash trees throughout the city of Minneapolis with neonicotinoid. So I'm just letting you know that that compound is a terrible compound, not only for the bees, but remember that a lot of things eat ash trees. All the moths, butterflies, and it seeps into the ground and affects the entire ground floor as well. So don't buy it. Make sure you tell your neighbors, and there's a lot of people injecting it already. Tell them not to inject it, but imagine 40,000 ash trees with neonicotinoid. It would be devastating for the city. So please don't use it, and tell your neighbors not to use it.
Go again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.